As we seemingly enter this golden age of Glen Powell and watch him start a number of films in various genres like historical fiction, action, drama, comedy, you name it, it seems like there's nothing this man can't do. I mean, except for sci-fi, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time before he shows off his skills over there too. Yet, in spite of all that, there's only one genre that seems to stand out the most in his career: rom-coms. Which is surprising because so far I've only started in about 3 of them, and yet 3 seems to be enough. Something about Glen Powell's charisma, approachability, and his face and body and, well, genre and Jesus Louise, I'm getting off topic. Those characteristics have made him almost the perfect candidate for what some would say a bit of a rom-com god. Okay, so no one is saying that exactly, but some people have been so bold to put him and Matthew McConaughey in the same sentence. I mean, that's a high honor because if there was a rom-com god come to earth to please the ladies, it's the early 2000s Matthew McConaughey. Some have even had the gall to insinuate that he could be the second coming of Mr. McConaughey, which is, whoa, that's huge. I mean, Matthew McConaughey, early 2000s Matthew McConaughey was the face of the genre, and he still, in some cases, remains that way. I mean, there's been a few people vying, not convincingly, but they've tried, and yet no one has ever amounted to the sheer amount of rom-com godness that was early 2000s. Y2K, Matthew McConaughey. But you know what? The insinuation that Glen Powell could be his second coming, I don't hate it. I really don't. In fact, he's made a pretty good case for it. I mean, looking at the films such as Set It Up that came out in 2018 and Anyone But You in 2023, all of his films so far have been fun and flirty and a good time, while Glen is able to shine in that genre. He's charismatic, he's handsome, he's likable. Yet, his best rom-com, in spite of all of that, both film-wise and, in my opinion, performance-wise, is often overlooked. Now, personally, I've chosen to blame this on timing because it came out in the same year as Anyone But You, literally like a month or two apart, and one was a theater, big blockbuster release. Blockbuster? Well, it was a theater release, while the other was a Netflix release. So the two weren't really working with the same budget or the same limelight. But in my opinion, this hidden gem that was co-written by Powell himself is his best rom-com work by far. Now, this film revolves around Gary Johnson, an awkward, lovable, single, and lonely high school STEM teacher who doesn't have much going on in his life. Like, the guy goes birding for fun by himself, which is a fine hobby to have. Don't get me wrong, it's great to have hobbies and stuff, but birding is not exactly known for being the most lively pastime, I'll just say that. That being said, Gary is a nice guy with a lot of charm under his belt once he becomes, well, a cold-blooded contract murderer. You heard that right, folks. Gary Johnson is a hitman. Well, a fake one. I know. Let me explain. Let me break it down for you guys real quick. You see, because this guy, Gary, doesn't have a lot going on for himself, he ends up volunteering his time at the local police station, catching people who are trying to hire a hitman. Because what else is the guy going to do? And he's great at it. As tech support, he works in the van and a computer, and he has little nerdy glasses on, and he does a great job of providing tech support at first. But then his jerk of a coworker gets himself suspended for beating up teenagers. I know teenagers can be rough, but come on, guy. That's kids. Those are children. Let's relax. Suddenly Gary has to adopt this persona of a hitman to keep future criminals from getting other people murdered. And he's surprisingly good at it. Like, really good. And everything's going perfectly until he gets hired by a beautiful, kind woman played by the Andrea Arjona. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Excuse me. Who wants her husband dead for good reasons. I mean, as good as reasons can be for wanting your spouse to die. Now Gary has this thing where when someone reaches out to him, he has to become the perfect hitman for them. Like, he just can't throw on a regular like leather jacket and be like, hey guys, I'm your hitman. No, he has to know this person well enough by their social media presence to become the hitman of their dreams. That's how they catch him. That's how he catches them. He transforms himself. Like, it's incredible to watch. And to no avail, he puts on a new wig, new clothes, new accent. Like I said, the guy is pretty committed. Now, this beautiful woman's perfect killer is a charming, more confident, and mysterious version of Gary himself, who calls himself Ron. And just like that, it's a match made in heaven, I guess. I mean, once they meet and have insanely great chemistry, Ron in this case, just cannot let her go through it getting herself thrown in jail. So he gives her hope, encourages her to leave that monster of a man she's with, and saves her from herself. Now, naturally, Ron, I suppose, and Madison run into each other again. And this time, she's much happier, free, almost single, in fact, and sparks really start to fly. But Madison has no idea who Gary really is. She does know Ron, however, a mysterious, charismatic, sexy, and caring hitman who kept her from making the biggest mistake of her life. Under this lie, the two fall in love. An unconventional, weird, and charming love story. And sexy. I forgot to say, it's incredibly sexy, their love story. And it was nice to see unfold on screen. I just gotta say, it was also, really sexy. I mean, I should mention Adria Arjona and Glen Powell are probably one of the most sensual and blatantly hottest couples I have seen in film romance in a very, very long time. I mean, oh my God. And I truly, honestly believe that none of the other actresses I've seen Glen paired with on screen have really held a candle to the chemistry he and Adria have. I mean, it is insane. Maybe they're both just really hot, and I enjoy watching them interact on screen. I could be biased, but I think I'm coming from a place of absolute truth because it's based in my opinion. And they're also balancing this sensuality, this vulnerability with just the right amount of goofiness.
So I didn't want to show you Gary.
Who the fuck is Gary?
I'm Gary.
I don't even know your name.
They're fun, and there's high stakes. Speaking of high stakes, Madison really takes them there. I mean, after beginning to fear for her life under the threat of murder from her ex-husband, she strikes first. She kills the guy. And as a result, Gary's whole Ron persona comes unraveled. Madison becomes a suspect, and Gary's jerk of a coworker is now onto them. So naturally, to prove his devotion and undying love to her, Gary does, the unthinkable. He actually becomes a murderer. He kills his coworker, and they're in the clear. They live happily ever after. Most importantly, they keep their murderous spark alive. I'm actually serious. And it's romantic, incredibly so. I would argue Madison and Gary / Ron are two of the most compelling romantic leads so far in Powell's romance lineup. I mean, Gary is this absolute lovable dork who's been divorced and has no life outside of his jobs. He's lonely and looking for excitement. It's why he works with cops and why he starts building these incredible personas, which is not even a requirement of the job, by the way, of hitmen for his clients. The man is also a bit obsessive and highly imaginative, yet he's deeply caring. He cares about his students, his ex-wife, and an unborn child with another man. He cares about both of his jobs and, most importantly, almost immediately, about Madison and her well-being. Gary, at his core, is a good man who wants to help people, who wants to love and be loved, and he believes on his own he isn't enough. So when he creates the Ron persona for Madison, he takes the desirable traits he's found in his character and begins to develop them on his own. He gains Ron's confidence, his charisma, but maintains Gary's good intentions and his heart that's full of love. He's complex and interesting. To be honest, I cannot tell you a thing about any traits outside of being the charismatic and occasionally goofy love interest of Glen's previous romantic male leading characters. But Gary, for some reason, is memorable. He's relatable. I understand Gary, and I could imagine seeing Gary out in the wild because he feels like a real person and not just the poster boy for the ideal romantic rom-com lead. Not to mention Madison, who is incredible, like absolutely incredible. I'm obsessed with her. She's objectively stunning, and yet she's a bit reserved. She's kind and open, but also a little insane and impulsive. The woman is turned on by the danger that comes with sleeping with a murderer, for goodness sakes. She's passionate and smart. She's also a pretty good liar, not to mention how calculated she can be when it comes to bringing her plans to fruition. Despite this, she's very warm and sometimes a bit aloof as she navigates life outside of her ex-husband. She's a bit wild and aggressive. She's also clearly romantic and is protective and loyal to Gary even after he lied to her. However, her self-preservation instinct is insane. She takes initiative and she doesn't fight. She doesn't back down from a fight. In fact, she sometimes instigates them.
Their complexities as characters makes them so interesting to watch. And I'm not even going to get started on their comedic timing, which is brilliant, by the way.
As you can guess by now, this is, in my opinion, Glen's best rom-com. I mean, does it have the romance setting up your boss and falling in love with your coworker in the process? No. Does it have the romantic grand gestures of belting a Natasha Bedingfield song while hanging from a helicopter with your love interest? No. But it does have the beauty of licking wine off your lover's skin and the sultry atmosphere of an evening bath with the person you're falling in love with. It has the lust of sharing a cigarette with your partner as you walk to a nightclub. The pure hot need to pull a gun on your girlfriend's ex-partner for harassing the two of you. The absolute romance of making love a few feet away from the fresh body your boyfriend laid out to prove his devotion to you. That's indescribable. That's pure love, in my opinion.
As I sit here listening to myself describe this film, I think I just want to say this movie is really hot. Maybe that's why it clicks so hard for me, because it's really, like, to me, it's a very sexy film. Yeah.
The undeniable soul connection of finding love with someone who not only matches your freak, but matches your crazy is the beauty of Hitman. Plus, the montage of physical intimacy was so tea. I mean, I've said it before in this video, but I think Glen and Audrey play off each other so well when it comes to their chemistry. Sometimes I felt like an intruder. Should I be watching this? I don't know. The chemistry felt genuine and made their affection all the more intimate. They took a stroll in a public park and grabbed a drink in a crowded bar, and it felt like they were the only two people on Earth. But it wasn't just the physical intimacy shown in the film for me. It was the emotional intimacy as well. There's this genuine vulnerability, mostly for Madison, who is still dealing with separation and on edge about potential retaliation from her ex, but that allows them to be transparent in a way with each other. They're able to show the darkest, craziest parts of themselves fairly early on, and it allows for this very open and honest relationship to develop in spite of Gary's lie. Which makes complete sense because from the beginning, Madison shares with Ron the darkest part of herself. And Gary, in spite of that, this woman telling him she wants to kill her husband, he still sees the light in her. By the end of the film, he's able to embrace the darkest parts of himself as well, an extreme act of devotion to prove his love for her. With each other, they're able to find an end to the loneliness imposed on them by their circumstances. And their love, no matter how extreme it does seem, feels true and real and committed. I couldn't imagine wavering from a partner who is willing to kill for and with you. When all is said and done, Glen Powell's best rom-com is a subjective answer. Everyone has their preference. Some prefer the scheming and friendship found between Charlie and Harper that blossomed into a beautiful, sweet romance. Some prefer the absolute chaotic shenanigans found in a kind of enemies to love story that we got with Bia and Ben. Some of us prefer the kind of love that surprises you and takes you off guard. The kind that can be a bit deceiving, but even more devoted. The kind of love that makes you feel wanted and seen after being lonely for far too long. Some people, like myself, prefer to watch the kind of love you kill for, no matter how unserious it presents itself as.
Thank you for watching my video. It means a lot. It took me way too long to get this video done, but life happened. Thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. I have a lot of ideas that will hopefully come to fruition much sooner rather than later. I appreciate the support. Okay, thank you.